Hey, good morning, sunshines. Here I am with the next video of the forms of government. Okay, and in this module, we are going to learn about the rigid and flexible constitutions. Okay, so let us start this module with a very mind-blowing thought. As you can see here, it's written, you cannot grow unless you are willing to change. So it is very necessary for us to change ourselves, okay? For if we want ourselves to grow and to achieve something in future. So we'll be starting this module with the topic as already discussed that we are going to do today rigid and flexible constitutions. We have already discussed what is a constitution. Let me repeat it once again, okay? What is a constitution? Constitution is a set of laws which define how a state or country is governed. Okay. And as you know, we have different types of constitutions like written and unwritten, which we have already discussed in the previous module. And today we are going to understand the rigid and the flexible constitutions. Okay, and we will understand this topic with a very beautiful form, like we'll use table form. It is very important for us to distinguish between these uh, constitutions to understand. Let me move to the rigid and flexible constitutions. As you can see here, these points are somehow written in the book which I am going to discuss. Okay, as you can see here, the rigid constitutions are the constitutions which cannot be changed or amended easily. Okay, the laws written in the constitutions are very difficult to change. Okay, and the second point, to make amendments there are specific procedures which we have to follow, which a country has to follow, which the government has to follow. Okay, the central as well as state majority is required. The third one is, as you can see here written, that the American and Indian constitution are the example of rigid constitution. So you can understand from here that in India, in our constitutions, if we want to change or amend any law, we have to first, we would have the consent of the central as well as the state majority. Okay, moving on to the flexible constitutions. These constitutions can be changed or amendment. Okay, there is no certain difficult procedures, no specific procedures for amending these constitutions. The laws in these constitutions can be amended by normal lawmaking procedure. Okay, and as we have already discussed that British constitution, because it is an unwritten constitution, is an example of flexible constitutions. Okay, now if a rigid constitution, we have seen the merits and demerits of written and unwritten constitution. So there must be some merits and demerits of the rigid as well as flexible constitutions also. Let us see that. Okay, a quick recap with these things, because these things are only for understanding. These things are not given in the book. Okay, just for understanding I have mentioned it, so that in future or in next class you will have a base of what these constitutions are. Okay, so whenever you study, go try to get answers deeply. Okay, so that if you have the answers of each thing which you wanted to know, you want to know, then only your knowledge will expand. Okay, so as I have written that you will grow only when you are willing to change. Okay, so as you can see, we need to grow, and for that we need to change. So let us read the merits and demerits. The first merit, let us see the merits of rigid constitutions first. Okay. The rigid constitution, as we have already discussed, that the rigid constitution is very clear and precise. Okay. So that is why it discourages and combats arbitrary actions. It means that government cannot impose any law according to their convenience on the citizens of the country. The second one, the ruling class cannot use the constitution to further its own narrow interest. Okay. The rigid constitution contributes to political stability. Okay. The rigid constitution is very important for political stability, so that government could not misuse the laws being prescribed, being written in the constitution. Okay. And uh, a rigid constitution also protects the fundamental rights of the individual. Okay, we have got certain rights through the constitution, like we have right to freedom, okay, right to equality, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedy. So these are our fundamental rights, and the constitution protects our fundamental rights. Okay, and a rigid constitution is very good for a federal system, because neither the center nor the federal units can easily change it to their advantage. Moving on to the flexible constitution. A flexible constitution can keep pace with time. This means that it can successfully adapt to changes, okay, which will take place with the passage of time, and it can change the laws according to the situation. Okay, and these constitutions can be changed through easy amendments, like we have already discussed. A normal law making procedure is there. Okay, and a flexible constitution discourages rebellion and revolution. Okay, if a flexible constitution is there, this means that if the government or the if the government needs to change the law or amend a law for the welfare of the citizens, or if the citizens have demanded that thing, or okay, that law to be changed in their favor, and if it happens, so that is what will happen, the citizens will remain happy, and this will prevent rebellion and revolution. Okay, and a flexible constitution can deal with any type of emergency. Okay, climatic, like you can see that sometimes a country may encounter different kinds of disasters. Okay, so in these situations, flexible constitution are having more importance for dealing with these types of emergencies. Okay, moving on to, if merits are there, then there must be demerits of these constitutions as well, isn't it? Let's see the demerits of these constitutions also. Let us first go through the demerits of flexible constitution. In a flexible constitution, the ruling party is inclined to frequently amend the constitution in order to fit its narrow interest. As you have seen in rigid constitution, that the ruling class cannot use the constitution to further interest and cannot amend the laws according to their own interest. But in flexible constitution, there is a chance of changing the constitution, okay, or of amending the constitution. Okay, and it may create problems for a federal system. If a federal system of if a federal system is having a flexible constitution, then it may create problem, because the center will incline itself to grab powers, isn't it? A flexible constitution may invite political instability. You have seen that the rigid constitution contributes to political stability. Means it cannot, the rules or the laws written in the constitution cannot be misused by government. But here in flexible constitution, the government can misuse their powers by amending the laws frequently. Okay, as you can see that as it is easy to amend the flexible constitution, the ruling class may exploit the citizens, isn't it? And it may exploit the citizens and deprive them from the rights, from their fundamental rights and their rights to protest against a bad government. Like in rigid constitutions, what happens if, suppose if the citizens elect a government, okay, they choose a representative or the government, but what happens, it has a certain tenure, like for 5 years, okay. But if the government is not working well and the citizens are dissatisfied, what they will do? They will try to correct their decisions in the next assembly elections. And that is what happens in India. In the next assembly elections, we citizens get a chance to change the government, because in a rigid constitution, there is a political stability, okay, and the government, whosoever will be the ruling party, they are not having the power to amend the laws on their own terms, okay. Moving on to rigid constitutions, what are the demerits? Let us see. As we have seen that the procedure of amending a rigid constitution is very difficult, so it can cause problems for the country, isn't it? Suppose if we are in an emergency occurs, okay, and during that situation we have to amend the constitution according to the situation which is during that time, okay. And as we know that in rigid constitutions there are certain procedures, okay. So what will happen, it will take a lot of time, isn't it? So maybe the attempt to amend the rigid constitution may fail during an emergency. A rigid constitution is likely to fail, okay, to cope with time and environment. You have seen that on one side, in flexible constitution, they keep pace with time, but in rigid constitution, they fail to cope up with time, okay. A country may encounter different kinds of disasters, okay. It may also face a rebellion, so it is necessary to take quick decisions to deal with these emergencies. But because there are certain procedures to change the rigid constitution, the government could fail to take decisions, okay. When the people feel that a rigid constitution is somehow standing in the way of the effort of the national legislation to amend it, manage a crisis, or to provide equality justice to people, they are likely to approach the judiciary. What will happen in rigid constitution, if they will see that they the amending the constitution is quite impossible, and if the people feel that the rigid constitution is somehow standing in their way in providing uh, somehow it is not providing equality justice, so what will people do? People will approach to the judiciary to intervene, okay. And if necessary changes are not inserted in the constitution in the view of changes that takes place with the march of time, the consequences may be very bad for a country, okay. So that is why these are the certain limits of flexible and rigid constitution, the merits and demerits, as we have seen it, okay. So what we have understood, that there are certain merits and demerits in each of the constitution, but there is a way to deal with the situations, okay, with the help of the constitution, with the help of a certain change in these constitutions, okay. In this module we will also be reading about uh, franchise, okay, that is very important. We have already discussed universal adult franchise prior, but let us discuss it, okay. Franchise, what is franchise? Franchise is the right of a citizen to vote, okay. There was a time when this was limited to the citizens who could satisfy certain conditions only, such as education, possession of wealth, and income. This gives the right to choose the people who will govern the country. Okay, franchise gives the right to choose the people who will govern the country. In most of the democracies, the right to vote is universal. Okay, means everybody has a right to vote. And right to vote is granted as a fundamental right, okay, irrespective of race, ethnicity, class or gender. And this is also known as universal suffrage. Okay, franchise is also known as universal suffrage. But there are certain categories, we have already discussed earlier also in constitution, that there are certain categories that are still denied the right to vote. Who are they? They are convicted criminals, okay, mentally ill people, non-citizen resident, and citizens below the age of 18. Okay, let us move on to the history of franchise. Okay, so the first step taken towards franchise was in the early 19th century. Okay, then the focus was on removing property requirements for voting purpose. As we have already discussed, that there was a time once when the voting was limited to those citizens only who could satisfy certain conditions, such as they should be educated, okay, they should have wealth, and they should have income also. So in the first step, the focus was on removing the property requirements for voting purpose. In the late 19th and early 20th, the focus shifted to giving rights, voting rights to women. Okay, in late 19th and early 20th century, the focus shifted to giving voting rights to women. Okay, during the apartheid era in South Africa, here is an example. Okay, during the apartheid era in South Africa, non-whites, means blacks, okay, were not allowed to vote, and this system came to an end with the first free multilingual party elections in 1994. Okay, in 1994, what happened in South Africa, blacks were given the right to vote. Okay, but in apartheid era they were not allowed to vote. So these were the topics in these chapters which we have discussed. Let us sum up with few points. Okay, so the very first point is the government looks after the administration of a country. We have already discussed it in the class when we have discussed about the government, the forms of government. Okay, and the forms of government refers to the system by which a government is concerned. Okay, is governed. Governments are democratic and authoritarian, parliamentary and presidential, unitary and federal. A constitution defines the framework that the country will be governed by. Okay. The different types of constitutions are written and unwritten, rigid and flexible. The right to vote or franchise enables people to elect their representatives. Universal suffrage, that is franchising. Okay, franchise. Universal suffrage grants the right to vote as a fundamental right without being discriminated against. Okay, so this was all about the chapter. So we are going to wrap up the chapter today. Okay, these were the certain questions left which we have to discuss. Okay, and some more questions are there. Wait, let us discuss the questions. Okay, uh, of this chapter related to the topics which we have discussed. First question: what is a constitution? List the different types of constitutions. Okay, the answer is given that a constitution is a set of laws which define how a state or country is governed. There are different types of constitutions. They are written and unwritten, rigid and flexible. So let me discuss one more thing here, because you guys are having a lot of queries about what to write, what not to write in the copies. Okay. So the thing is that because I have got certain queries from other teachers who are of different sections. So the thing is that you are asking them whether you have to write the notes or the exercise questions, that is question answer, fill up, MCQ, short notes, whatever is there. So let me tell you, you have to write every single thing which has been provided to you as notes. Okay, in the notes, that is the summary of the chapter is already written. You have to write that one also, as well as the question answer which is given, or the exercise question which is given in that note. Okay, the second thing regarding the diagrams, okay, whatever figures are there, so the figures which are easy for you to draw, just draw those figures. Okay, so a question arises mm, earlier, that was there was in the chapter the earth and the solar system, in one of the notes you'll see that constellations are drawn on the one side. Okay, there is an image of constellations and there is an image of the Saptarishi also. So I know that it is difficult to draw the others, but drawing Saptarishi is the easiest thing, isn't it? You can draw Saptarishi. So the diagrams which you have to draw, I have already asked you to draw those diagrams in the questions as well. Okay. Apart from in uh, early humans 1, okay, I have also uploaded the notes of that chapter, though I have not discussed the chapter here as in with the help of modules, but there are certain diagrams which is not necessary to draw. Okay, suppose use of tools, there are the pictures in which the people, the early men are hunting and whatever they are doing, you do not need to draw those things. But when it comes to the techniques, okay, used for making tools, so there is a technique, two techniques are given and the picture is there, so do you have to draw those pictures first. Okay, so these questions are continuously you people are arising these questions, so let me, I am clearing you up here, do not ask these questions again and again to your teachers. Okay. Okay, so let us move on to the second question. Why are written constitutions rigid? So written constitutions are rigid because they cannot be changed or amended easily. To make amendments, specific procedures have to be followed. And the third one, to the central as well as state majority is required to make changes. Long answer type question. Categories that are denied the right to vote in most of the countries are convicted and criminals, mentally ill people, non-citizen president, and citizens below the age of 18. One more question was there in HOTS. Okay, that is this one. In ancient times, there were subjects of kings in a country. Today, we are citizens of our country. So, what is the difference between the subjects of kings and the citizens of the country? So, I have discussed 5 points over here. Do note it down. Okay. With this, I am wrapping up this video. And have a nice day. Do work on yourself. And if you have any questions, do ask your teachers. Okay. But do not ask repetitive question to your teachers. Okay, let me tell you, you have to make only one copy for social science. Okay, and do not divide the copies. Okay, like one section for history, one section for geography, one section for civics. No, if you are completing a single chapter, suppose you have completed the first chapter studying the past. Okay, so the next, in the next page you have to start with the second chapter, that is geography, the earth and the solar system, and the way I have written in the notes, do copy the same. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.